Hello and welcome to another episode of the Solo Inter podcast. I'm your host Parmeshwar, and as usual, I'm joined by Manish to discuss yet another episode. More things on Inter and preview our upcoming game versus Hellas Verona. So, Manish, first of all, welcome. How are you doing, man?
Yes, good, bro. I'm doing well. Not bad. I think we started
Yeah.
off in the right note. So yeah, all
Mm-hmm.
smiles.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all smiles. Yeah, first game of the season, 4-0 win. We all touched upon it, and there's more good news coming. I mean, I guess today. So I don't think I should waste any more time and get to it right away. So Manish, first things first, I wanted to talk to you about our Mercato because it seems like the Joaquin Correa deal is done. There was a small hitch in the deal wherein we there was a distance of 5 million, and we all know how Claudio Lotito is, right? He doesn't budge easily. And finally, it's done because we saw the images earlier that Korea has actually landed in Milan. So yeah, Manish, the floor is yours. What's your take on Joaquin Korea? Are you all for the move, or did you want Andrea Bellotti? What's your take on it?
No, I think initially it was last week Marcus Thuram was favored to come, and Marcus Thuram is a young, exciting player. So actually, I was very intrigued by Marcus Thuram because I thought he can take the league by storm. His dad, Lilian Thuram, was a legend. So I thought definitely the hunger will be with him, like to show and prove himself. But unfortunately, he got injured with a serious knee injury. But this all depends on this permission. For me, you know what? The people who want to play Funter, who deserve to play Funter, only they can join. Like if Marcus Thuram so badly wanted to join Inter, he should have told the coach, you know what, I'm not going to play. That's it. I want to join Inter. That should have been a statement. But no, he was up and ready. He went to the pitch. I think his team got hammered 4-0. They lost the match. Saying that Yakin Korea, on the other hand, was very from I think from the first minute, ever since the transfer market opened, he was clear. He had Inter in his mind. He wanted to join his old mentor Simeone Inzaghi, and he kept saying that he will not play for Lazio anymore. He just wants to join. I think even Everton wanted him so bad. Everton gave a massive bid, but this guy was adamant that I'm sorry, he just wants to join Inter, and I think rightfully, luck played in his side. Luck as well as no, I don't know what our directors doesn't wanted, and most of all, the coach Simeone Inzaghi gets the right guy he wanted, and how important it is to give the coach the right player because I think. Back in the Suning days, when Mancini was the coach, he wanted Yaya Toure so bad. He was begging for him, but I think the Suning manager didn't want to listen. He gave him
Hmm.
Gabriel Barbosa, gave him Jao Mario. So it's only right that Korea is right now joining Inter, and I'm very happy. I think he's going to be a perfect fit with this
Hmm.
move.
And yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like, even personally, I wanted Marcus Thuram first, but as you said, like Korea forced, like he really wanted this Inter move. I've seen those pictures with Zanetti, his visit in
Right.
2012. He was actually supposed to sign in 2012 itself, but it didn't go through. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him, and I really, I agree with as a player, he's come a long way, and it's been under Inzaghi, so he knows Korea, and I think you had pointed this out before, Manish, that if we give Conte the likes of Lukaku, Barella, we can at least give one player to Inzaghi of
Right.
his choice,
Yes.
right? So, and
Yes.
Korea makes
Correct.
sense. And I'm all for it, while I wanted Thuram, but unfortunately he's going to be out for a month and a half at least, but it's all right. And I personally prefer Korea over Belotti. And since I mentioned Belotti, Manish, just briefly, not dwelling onto it because he's not going to come anymore. Do you think if let's say Korea wasn't an option, would you have taken someone like a Belotti or someone like a Jovic, or would you have gambled and gone on for someone like Skamaka? What's your take on it? Because many people are too critical of Belotti at times, but do you think Belotti could have led this attack line along with Lautaro Martinez? What's your take on
See, first of all, we have to see what exactly the coach wants. That's the most important point. It's not like what I want or what the fans want, because Simeon Inzaghi he plays with the one striker, proper striker, and one. It's like a 3-4-1-1 formation. That's his preferred formation. So you know what, you should give the coach what he wants. And Korea as a player, we don't have this type of player. Yes, Sanchez is not very fit all the time. He gets injured a lot of times, so we cannot rely our season to be with on Sanchez's fitness. So I'm very happy with Korea right now, and this guy has again Italian league experience. He's been playing for so long, so directly he knows Simone Inzaghi's system. He knows the league. he'll straight away gel. And the best part is he played with Lautaro for the Copa America. So, that duo is going to be good. It's no more Lukaku and Lautaro Lula. It's going to be Korea and Lautaro. It's going to be Cola formation from now on. So yes, it's I'm going to be excited because I think Lautaro himself is going to be excited. So I think Korea makes sense right now. If not Korea, Belotti. See, Belotti is an out and out traditional striker, but I don't think pretty much. Uh, Simone Inzaghi is very keen on Belotti. He wants some different type of player to add a different dimension to his attack. We have Zeko, who can play as out and out striker. We have Lautaro. Again, getting a third out and out striker makes no sense. Especially we had actually Pinamonti and Satriano all like proper out and out strikers. So this is the one signing which adds a lot of quality. So if not for Belotti, I think I'm not a big fan of Belotti, to be honest. And his contract is getting over. So we might as well as get him on the free transfer in January if we can agree with him. But if not Belotti, I'm not a big fan of Scamacca too. So I don't know what I think. Marcus Thuram was something different. So I want something different to the attack. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah, and I get you. Like, I know Belotti at times gets unfairly, let's say insulted, or gets too much criticism at times. But yeah, I wasn't really keen on Belotti myself. As you said, Korea adds a lot of dimension to our attack. He can play as an inside forward, he can play as a support striker, and his technical ability is what I prefer. So, I think I couldn't agree more with you on that. But I think moving on from Korea, because we've started on a good note with Korea, I want to ask you about Alexis Sanchez, because it's a worry. It's a worry because we don't know exactly now when he'll come back. We saw there's a video circulating of him training and saying he'll be back soon post the international break. But with him, you can't really trust his fitness anymore. He'll get injured at any point. You don't know. So with that being said, Manish, I read some news that Inter, if they can offload Alexis somehow, because Fenerbahce apparently seem to be interested, they might then go on to get Gianluca Scamacca and, of course, then keep Cetriano as well, probably. So, what do you make of that? Do you think it's a big risk to offload Alexis and then go for someone who's as raw as Scamacca? He is talented, but he's not fully developed. Do you think that's a big gamble, or do you think now the attack we have, we have Dzeko, Lautaro, Joaquin, and Satriano? Do you think we should wait for Alexis to recover patiently and then, let him get into the thick of things? What's your take on it?
See, Alexis, I think pretty much he did his service. He played 2 years with us. I think 2 years under Conte. He won us the title. And I think it's time has come for move on because now his fitness is not going to get better. Age has caught up with him. It's going to be only worse from now on. So if we get a good offer and if we can offload the hefty wages right now, he is the most the salary highest paid player at Inter. So if we can offload him, nothing like it. And probably use the funds somewhere else. But now who's his replacement? Because now we got Korea. Korea can play exactly what Sanchez is playing. So we're not going to miss much that creative side. And also, if not emergency situation, we can get Sensi to play in that position or Çalhanoğlu, like the coach said. Çalhanoğlu also can play behind. So if we are offloading Sanchez, I would suggest we can get some person like Belotti again because I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of Scamacca again. This guy's, like you said, he's really raw. He hasn't proved it yet. So I'm not a big fan of him. And Raspadori again is a young talent. So I prefer to get the more seasoned players because right now it's not. We have to play big competitions. We have to play Serie A, we have to play Champions League, we have to play Copa. So they won't get any much time to develop. Also, players like Satriano, that's the thing. Because should we keep him? Should we loan him? That's the next question. If you ask me, Parm, I think we should loan him because last 15 or 20 minutes he comes, he's not going to develop. He needs to go out, play in this 90 minutes, get in this confidence, then come in. But I'm not a fan of Scamacca. I'm not a fan of Raspadori, if you ask me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, see, I like Raspadori a lot, but I think he needs to be where he is currently at Sassuolo to develop. Like, as you said, for Cetriano, you can't give these guys like 10, 20 minutes and then expect them to develop. And that doesn't do justice for their career as well. And while I love Cetriano, I really want him to stay. But, the Alexis situation puts everything into a big doubt. It's just too hard to put a finger on one thing. Would you keep? Would you sell? But I think we'll see what the directors decide. And I pretty much agree, I think it's time for Alexis to move on, provided we can assure a good backup, sort of, depth in the striking line, because that's what Conte wanted, right, in his tenure. So I think we'll move on from Alexis, but yeah, let's see what happens. I just want to quickly ask you before we round up the Mercato scenario. I read that Agume is going on loan. Lazaro will finally leave on loan plus obligation to Benfica for 8 or 9 million. That's some good news. And Salcedo might go on loan to Genoa. So do you think these deals are good, or do you think there needs to? In what opinion, what do you make of it? Do you think it's fine, or you think we should sell someone like Salcedo because we probably doesn't have a future at Inter, given the attacking depth we have. What's your take on it?
So the thing is, I think first of all, Simone Inzaghi made it clear he just wants 25 players in the squad. He doesn't want anything more than
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
it's no point keeping these youngsters in the team. They get stagnated. Like Pinamonti pretty much is stagnated. I'm
Yeah,
not sure
he's.
if he can grow up because if you check Pinamonti's age and Lautaro, it's almost similar. If you
Hmm.
notice, just I think
Yeah.
1 year younger. Guys,
Hmm.
but so this guy needs to go out and develop. There's no point keeping talents. Like Agume was
Hmm.
considered to be the next Pogba when he came in, and he had a couple of promising preseason matches, but after that, he just fizzed out. So he has to go back, and I'm glad they're sending him back to French league that he get this exposure, that he get this confidence, and let's see with that. Salcedo again, I think what Satriano was for us. I think Salcedo was 2 seasons back in the preseason. He was
Hmm.
really good. He had very good dribbling skills, but again, his career didn't take off. So it's good to send these players on loan.
Hmm.
But I thought it'll be better if we can send them a loan with obligation rather than sending a dry loan because they come back to us and we're again stuck up with them. Also, people like Pinamonti. The sad part is Pinamonti's wages 50% we are covering it. So
Yeah.
that's again permission. It's not helping the club because he's
Yeah.
heavily paid. So all the young
Yeah.
players,
Yeah.
let they go out, let they get exposure.
Yeah.
And best of all these, I'm happy Lazaro because this guy again has been deadwood for us. I know it's a big loss for us. I think there's only one big flop signing of Conti. Conti had good signings, but I think Lazaro's one
Hmm. Hmm.
flop of the players
Hmm.
he signed. We're getting 8 million nonetheless. It's better to close the chapter and send him off.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I agree. See, I still think Agume is very talented, but he just needs those more minutes, on a consistent basis. About that, but I think loaning him back to League One is a good thing. Lazaro, when he came in, I had high hopes because Conte was really convinced, but of course he was too injury prone, and I think we sent him on to the wrong club on loan. I don't think Newcastle should have ever been the first club to send him on loan. Then he went to Mönchengladbach, got injured. But I think Manish, coming back to your point, it's a good deal. We are getting 8-9 million because we have to also consider that there is value has amortized. So that helps as well. And also, just to add a bit of context to this news, you obviously know that Joao Mario went to Benfica for a free because we terminated his contract and we did them a favor. So as a return, it's like sort of a verbal agreement wherein they will actually now buy Lazaro for that same fee because of the legal issues we had with Sporting. They couldn't buy Mario, right? So it's like sort of a favor Benfica are doing us. So like
No,
it's
but
actually.
what I thought Benfica's a deal was below, it's under the table because I think Sporting Lisbon, right? That was his team. Sporting Lisbon was ready to
Yeah.
offer 5 million, but we
Mm-hmm.
didn't want that 5 million and we wanted
Mm-hmm.
to sell him to Benfica for
Yeah,
8
yeah,
million.
yeah.
So
Eight
basically, it's under
and
the table dealing, which I
yeah,
think Sporting tried to sue us also on that.
while we were ready to take the 8 million from Benfica,
Right.
the
The
clause
clause,
in
that's what.
Mario's contract,
That's
yeah,
why we
yeah,
had
stated that
to
we can't had to terminate,
release him
yeah,
on a free.
and
But I
and
think with those
exactly
8 million be paid to us indirectly some way or
in
the other.
Lazaro, yeah, in with Lazaro.
It
So
should be 8
so
million
that
plus Lazaro, I feel. So it should be 60 million,
yeah.
I think. That should be the deal,
I
yeah.
mean, that would be something, but I'll take 8 million to 9 million at this point for Lazaro. But I think that's it. So Manish, before
Yeah.
we move on to the Hellas to previewing Hellas Verona, I just want to ask you one final question. I think this is going to be the squad pretty much. I don't think there'll be anyone coming in. This is my personal opinion. I really hope this is the squad going into the season. Of course, including few departures of Agume on loan, the ones we just discussed right now. What's your take on it? If you had to rate this squad on 10, how much would you rate it?
So right now, I think we're pretty competitive. Pepe
Mm,
Marotta has done a very good job. And to
mm,
give the coach the players he wanted Çalhanoğlu badly. We gave him Korea. And pretty much other than Lukaku and Hakimi, we haven't lost. We still have the basic structure. We have
mm,
the
mm,
skeleton. We have the
mm,
team ready. So it's only part is the attacking side of things, which I'm
mm,
very pretty sure Parmeshwar Conti's style was different. Conti is more of hold up
mm,
play and defensive and then release the wingers. Simone Inzaghi is more direct, and I think the statistics showed in the previous game we attack more to the center rather than the wings. So if we give the players Simone Inzaghi want, I think it's going to be a very good Mercato. I'm satisfied
Hmm.
so far with the money we got in. We saved a lot on wages. We got huge. I think Inter has received the highest amount of transfer fees this season in the whole world. So that's really good. So I'm pretty positive. I think Beppe Marotta does a good job. If we can get rid of Sanchez somehow with his wages and perhaps get a Belotti something for around 10 or 12 million, I think it's
Hmm.
perfect Mercato, 8 to 9 million. It's 8 to 9,
Sure.
sorry, 8 to 9 out of 10. That's
Yeah.
that's my score. What about
To
you?
yeah to yeah. I mean, see, from what we had to suffer to where we are now, one thing I keep thinking to myself, it could have been much worse, right? If Beppe Marotta wasn't at the helm, I think we would have been worse off. I'm convinced, in my mind, and keeping those factors in mind, what we have got managed to satisfy the coach. I would give it an 8 because
Right.
in my mind, I still deduct 2 points because of the owners, not because of the management. I have to because, of course, the situation is such. But yeah, I think 8, and I mean, I hope people who are watching or listening this don't misinterpret this. It's based on context purely because we know what we have gone through. We know the budget.
It's the
It was
reality of the
barely,
situation, basically,
yeah,
right? So
exactly,
that's
exactly, yeah, exactly, 35 to 40 million,
I
and
think
that's
the
a
perfect
really
scenario would be like retain everybody and get 3, 4 new players like Gosens
exactly,
and stuff. That would be in a perfect 10,
exactly.
but that's not the
Yeah,
situation. There's no point
I
living in a fantasy world where we can get Mbappe or Messi. So based
exactly,
on the
exactly.
situation, what we have done, like you said, 8 is perfect.
It is perfect, perfect.
So Paramshar, before we get into Hellas game, just one thing I want to ask you. One good news is Harry Kane told he wants to stay back in Tottenham. So this means
Hmm.
Tottenham is not going to pressurize us to sell Lautaro. So Lautaro
Hmm.
is safe for
Hmm.
now, and that is good.
Hmm.
And the other news is Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7 is planning to leave. What's the take on that? Will that be? I know it's bad for the league, but generally our
Hmm.
rivals are weakened a lot.
Hmm.
What's the
Hmm.
take on
Hmm.
that? Would you want him to stay, or do you want him to leave, which makes Juventus very weak?
See, this is a tough one, but honestly, I know. See, as you said, the first thing is good for the league that he stays and everything, and not so good if he leaves, right? If you ask me, that factor plus many other factors, I would want him to stay. I know it sounds strange considering that I'm an Interista, but in my mind, I still want to go up against a tough team, like a tougher team. I know Juventus have a really good coach in their hand, of course, and everything. But I just don't want my rivals to be that weak. Like I want a competitive season going in. I know you might disagree with this, many people would, but I just want a competitive season going in. We've seen Roma improve now. I mean, with the head coach and with the players. We see Fiorentina adding to their team. We see Lazio. I just want a competitive league, and I just because I don't know. I feel that if we play these competitive teams on a regular basis, it'll help our performances going further into further seasons and in the Champions League as well. We'll be testing ourselves weekly on versus tougher opponents. So that's just my take, and I feel having, as you said, the first point, having Ronaldo is good for the league, and
Right.
I feel, and
But
sorry,
if
yes,
Ronaldo leaves, doesn't make Inter
mm,
the equal favorites as Juventus. Right now, I think Juventus are like 2 notches above us.
yeah, definitely,
But if Ronaldo
definitely.
leaves, which anyway is going to leave is the end of his last season anyways. So
Yeah.
if he leaves now, would that put us on the same level as Juventus?
Hmm. It's an
That's my thought.
interesting one. I still feel UA will have that edge somewhere because you know what, Manish? Dybala seems to be in some really. I'm not saying this based on one game. He's apparently had a really good preseason. He's been made captain once again. You read the training reports, he's in full flow. Barring injury issues, barring any other problems, I
That's
still
the main
feel the
thing.
edge.
Will he be fit? Will he be able to play
Yeah,
30
that's the
30
thing. I
games?
agree.
That's a good
I
question.
agree. So yeah, so barring the fitness issues, I still feel UA edged. Let's say Dybala is out for a long time or something, some issue happens, he can't regain his form. Then I would put us favorites. And I don't want to, base things on one player. But you see, Dybala makes a lot of difference at Juventus.
Right,
It's
right,
evident. He saved Sari's latter part of the season as well when Sari was there. So
right.
that's my take on it. So yeah, I think
Perfect.
I
So
still feel
let's move
just
on
to
to Hellas game. Yes, I
yeah,
think
just I was just saying, Mani, just
yeah.
to cap off, I still feel Juve are slight favorites, if Ronaldo is there or not, and then it's us like in general. I of course don't rule AC Milan out, but yeah, that's what it is, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I think the same thing with me. Juventus are two notches above the rest with Allegri
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Uh, Inter, Roma, Milan, Napoli all
Hmm.
start on same level, I guess.
Exactly, exactly,
So,
exactly.
so it's going to be an
Couldn't agree
exciting
more.
season. It's going to be a fun
Yeah,
season because now
yeah.
Mourinho is back with his mind games and stuff. So it's
Of
going to be
course, of
exciting.
course.
Why
Yeah.
not? So let's get quickly to the Hellas game next. It is happening on a Friday evening match.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not Saturday, it's not Sunday, it's Friday. That's less than 2 days.
Friday.
So I
Yeah.
want to ask you about first thing the coach, Di Francesco.
Hmm.
This guy, he was considered to be the next big thing. He was at
Hmm.
Roma for I think good 2 seasons, and then I think pretty much his career has spiraled down. He was short time with Cagliari. He was at Sampdoria for a really short time. So what's your take on Di Francesco
Yeah. Yeah.
Verona?
See, as you said, his career has been on a downward trajectory, man. Like, he was considered to be the next big thing. In his time at Roma, I noticed something that tactically he's a very attack-minded, aggressive coach, and I think that suited the team a lot. You remember they had Nainggolan, they had
Right.
Florenzi, and who not, and they fed off him. He could really connect with those players, and hence that comeback. I think that was essential to the comeback versus Barcelona. They really believed in him. But since then, you see the way he left Roma. It was shambolic in a way. He got thrashed 7-1 in the Coppa Italia to Fiorentina, and we know Fiorentina was also going through a downward spiral at that time. He got knocked out of the Champions League, and then that Roma failed to qualify for the Champions League further. Then, as you said, he signed for Sampdoria. He got sacked in like 4 5 months. Cagliari was a disaster. He didn't win a match for like 1.5 months, and he got sacked. So he's been on a downward spiral, Manish. And what worries me about Hellas Verona going into the entire season before we do a tactical this thing analysis of sorts is the fact that they're moving away from Ivan Juric, one of the best coaches in the league
Yes,
tactically.
that's a very big factor. Yeah.
Yeah, to a coach who's suffered so much in the form of Di Francesco. And that worries me because Ivan Juric, I'll tell you one thing about Hellas Verona. He wanted to stay, but he was not given any sporting guarantees. That sounds familiar in Conte terms, of course. And he was frustrated and he left. And had he stayed, I would have been more worried about this match than I am right now. I'm not underestimating Hellas Verona, but that's my take on it. The first game I saw them play versus Sassuolo the other day, the kickoff time was same, right? So I had to go back and watch the match again. I saw encouraging signs. I told you this one thing about Conte and Inzaghi, Manish, that I feel Conte's effects will linger on in terms of how the team gels and performs on the pitch. I still feel Juric's effect will play on to the team at Hellas Verona. He plays a 3-4-2-1. They have key players. I've mentioned them. Matteo Zaccagni. You must have heard of him.
Yeah.
He was wanted by AC Milan, by Napoli, and I'm surprised Hellas Verona have held on to him so long. He saved them versus Sassuolo the other day. He scored a brace. They were down to 10 men. He scored a brace. They have few key players again, and one of their key players I was coming to was Davide Faraoni. He always gives Inter a
Former
hard
Inter
time, but I
player.
think
Yeah. He's a
yes,
youth
and
player
he
of
gives us
Inter.
yes, yes, and he's although I think he's not fully fit to start. They also, their Mercato. I just wanted to look at their Mercato quickly. They sold one of their young promising defenders, Matteo Lovato, to Atalanta. Of course, then since then they've lost one of their key keepers, Marco Silvestri. You remember we were linked to
Yeah.
Marco Silvestri
Yes.
as well. He's gone to Udinese, very surprising.
To
And
replace
yeah, and Di
Musso. Yeah.
Marco, exactly, and Di Marco came back to us. They wanted him as well. So they have taken a hit. And in terms of incomings, they signed Ivan Illich, one of the young. He's considered a good talent from Manchester City. They made his move permanent. And the biggest downside I would say for Hellas Verona right now is keeping Nikola Kalinic. I think I'm pretty sure if any Serie A Calcio fans are listening to this, we've all watched Kalinic's disastrous misses. And I'm not going to even lie about this. He missed a similar open goal chance versus Sassuolo the other day. And this is what I've been reading online from Hellas Verona fans and everything, that they want a striker badly. And the funny thing is, while we play them, they're also looking to sign Gianluca Scamacca. That's their ideal replacement. So while Inter are also keeping an eye on him, Hellas Verona want him more eagerly, and I think that would be a good move for him. But apart from that, Manish, coming to a tactical approach of how I expect Di Francesco to go about things. As I said, he line up in a 3-4-2-1. As I said again, he's more of an attack-minded coach. He will let his players press our players individually one by one. They will press us. I don't think they'll shy away and sit behind like a Genoa or like a Udinese. They're not going to do that. Keep an eye out for Zakani, very versatile player. Will keep pressing us. Keep an eye on, of course, Darko Lazovic at left wing back, and keep an eye on Davidovic. Yeah, you keep an eye on Davidovic at centre back. These three are very talented. And yeah, I would also, yeah, sorry, one more player I wanted to highlight was Antonin Barak, the Czech.
Yes, that
He's
guy.
yes, 6 feet 3, had a brilliant Euros with Czech Republic, and he's an amazing ball winner. And that's my worry. If you put him someone like against like Çalhanoğlu, he's going to give Hakan a hard time. Let's try to balance things out here. So my overall perspective of Hellas Verona is that they will individually press our players one by one. Maybe we can catch them out of shape because we have some really good passers of the ball in the form of Hakan, Brozovic, uh, and of course Sensi if he starts. So all in all, Manish, I expect this battle to come down to a midfield battle of sorts because you've pointed this out a lot of times that Inzaghi prefers central play more than wing backs, more often than wing backs. So does Di Francesco, and he will rely on a lot of his players moving positionally from left to right, and out wide. And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I would. Uh, Matteo Zaccagni is a player we have to keep an eye on. The way he scored those 2 goals versus Sassuolo. He was running the show. Just to cap that match of Manish, because we are talking about Hellas Verona, they pretty much dominated Sassuolo in the first half, and then after the red card they fell off. But that one guy, Zaccagni, kept pressing for the goal. Only one who wanted to actually go forward. Got the penalty, scored a brilliant goal, cut past 2-3 players. So we really need to keep an eye out. And you saw we had some defensive lapses versus Genoa. So we can't really afford to do that versus Zaccagni and Hellas. So yeah, and that's pretty much my take on Hellas Verona, Manish. Expect them to line up in a 3-4-2 and take the game to us. They won't slack off, even though it's Di Francesco. I know I don't want to contradict myself by criticizing Di Francesco and then saying good things about Hellas, but I feel the Juric effect will linger a tad bit longer. So yeah, Manish, that was my take on Hellas Verona. I want to ask you about Inter, of course. Now Inter side of things. First of all, tell me, Manish, how do you think Inter will line up, and how do you think we will approach this tactically? And also tell me how you want Inter to line up, if it is any different from how you think Inzaghi will field the 11.
Yeah, so I think last season, this away match was very tricky. I think Hellas, we discussed also in our podcast that this game is going to be
Hmm.
one of the tricky matches of Conti.
Yes.
And
Yes.
like you said, the players, Anton Barak, Zakani, these guys are really good. And the
Hmm.
best part, what I think is I think the first game which Verona played, their main midfielder, Miguel Veloso, sent off. Miguel
Hmm.
Veloso
Yeah.
is one of the main distributors of the ball, and he has
Exactly.
plenty of
Exactly.
Serie A experience. He,
Definitely.
so he's got red cards, so he'll miss the match. But
Hmm.
nonetheless, Lazovic, like you said, that guy seems to. I think he skinned Skriniar, I think, by pace, I think, and that Skriniar was
Yes.
for longest time put on bench after the match and same match, I think,
Hmm.
reverse picture last season. So yeah, so talking about my approach, I think Inter's on a high. Inter's very confident. So I think, like the reports say, that Inter's pretty much going to use the same level that played the first match. I think
Hmm.
that's the
Hmm.
right way to go because you know what, Lautaro's back. He hasn't played much, so I think we might as well rest Lautaro and not rush in with Korea. Let these guys take their sweet time. So
Yep.
pretty much the team is ready. They're gelled up. Sensi is first of all fit. That itself is a good thing. So we should pretty much stick with the same formation and should
Hmm.
go for it. That would be my approach too. I think Simone
Hmm.
Inzaghi is going to do the same thing, but I would say
Hmm.
personally prefer using Dumfries more this time
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
Dumfries, he has to get used to it. But nonetheless, Darmian is very reliable. He's really good.
Yeah.
And you asked about Inter, why Inter was slacked off in the second half. One thing was fitness. If you check, I
Yeah.
think second half you are pretty much walking
Hmm.
pace.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
hopefully the fitness improves a lot.
Hmm.
So Paramesh, I think that fitness side should improve. If not, we have five subs. We have always Arturo Vidal and Vitinha off
Exactly.
the bench, which
Yeah.
seems to be
Yeah.
very good. And
Hmm.
Dimarco again, I'm looking forward for him to come on the second half. He'll do wonders for us.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think I agree with you. I don't see a difference in our 11. But before I come to discussing our 11, I just want to give Hellas Verona's predicted 11 as per Gazzetta dello Sport because they always give their lineups way before. So they're, as I said, they're expected to line up in a 3-4-2-1. Their new goalkeeper Ivor Pandor will be at the back because they've obviously lost Marco Silvestri. Pavel Davidovic as the right centre back, Koray Gunter as the main centre back. And I would just like to point one thing about Gunter is that he's a tad bit slow to reacting to 1-2 passes. And if let's assuming Korea starts, and even Sensi can do it, Hakan Sensi, he Gunter is very flat-footed. He reacts too slow. So that's one thing we can count on is 1-2 quick give and goes and then score. Because that's what exactly Sassuolo did. If you saw Juricic's goal. Then they have Ceccherini, again another error-prone defender. So this is one area I feel Inter should capitalize on is Hellas's backline. Right wing back, they're going to miss Faraoni mostly. They have a youngster in Casale who is very energetic, but at times tends to lose sense of space behind him. In midfield, you pointed out Veloso is not going to be there. So they're going to have Ivan Ilic, the playmaker, and Martin Hongla, who's again sort of a tall midfielder, but again sort of a traditional central midfielder. And we obviously spoke about Lazovic at left wing back. He might cause Skriniar some problem. Let's see. He might have to go up against Dumfries or
I think Skriniar
Darmian.
will be charged up a lot for this game, I
Yeah,
guess.
charged up. Definitely. Has to redeem himself. And then we come to the two players in front of the midfield, which is Antonin Barak and Zakani. The
The main
most
threats.
dangerous players. Yeah,
Yes.
the main threats, definitely. And they will press us this exact reason. And the top is where, it's a bit of a gray area because Kalinic, he might have his random day, it's a good day or bad day. But mostly he's an average player because I don't think even if any Milan fan is listening to this, they would be the happiest people, I guess, if he criticized Kalinic for like 20 more minutes or something. But yeah, that's their lineup. And just to add, as I said, Davide Faraoni will be missing. And yeah, that's pretty much for them, Hellas Verona. And Manish, just before I come to you again, uh, I expect Inter to line up in the same way as we did versus Genoa, 3-5-1-1. I would personally want Dumfries to start now. I know it's a tad bit risky versus a team like Hellas, but I think it's about time we should start giving him more time. But let's see. Apart from that, I don't see Joaquin Correa start right away. Like I think he'll come off the bench maybe. I
Definitely.
think
Yeah.
even Lautaro will come off the bench for that matter. But I think he's going to be 3-5-1-1. So let me just spell the lineup out for people who are listening or watching. Handanovic in goal, Milan Skriniar at right centre back, De Vrij as the centre back, Bastoni as the left centre back, right wing back. It, Darmian is expected to start. I would like to see Dumfries though. The right hand side of midfield, Barella, Brozovic in the middle, Hakan on the left, left wing back Perisic, up in front of them Sensi and Dzeko up top. And just before we move on, Manish, I just want to ask you, would you like to see Di Marco start in this match over Perisic, or do you think it should be Perisic?
No, I think if you ask me, I think Di Marco should give him the starter because Perisic
Okay.
is very reliable and Perisic
Hmm.
can always come in the second half and change the game.
Hmm.
And Di
Definitely.
Marco, he's been playing in the stadium. He knows his players well.
Hmm.
He's been doing
Exactly.
weekly
Exactly.
training sessions with these guys.
Hmm.
He, and
Definitely.
and it's definitely Perisic is going to come. So it's a
Hmm.
guaranteed sub of Perisic for Di Marco. So let's
Definitely.
keep these guys fresh. And I think Di Marco should start. Regarding Dumfries, I think Dumfries can give him some more time because if you notice
Hmm.
Hakimi didn't come straight away to the 11. It took some couple
Definitely.
of weeks.
Definitely. Yeah.
And Dumfries himself said in his interview that he's learning Italian language and
Yeah.
Debra is
Yeah.
helping him settle in. And the four
Yeah.
words which he learned is like, about certain words. So it's good. Give
Yeah.
him some
It's good.
time
It's
because
good.
you know what?
Yeah.
The moment you put him on the field, all eyes will be on him. And that can hamper his confidence. If he
Mm-hmm.
messes it
Definitely.
up, it'll inversely affect him. So it's good now. Plus, this long break is coming, and the best part is not called up in this
Yeah.
national team.
International break. Correct.
De Vrij called up, but Dumfries is not called up. So at least he can
Mm.
settle in, get used to it. And he's coming
Yeah.
from a new league, so it's always better give him that space. But it's not the
Mm.
case with Korea. It's not the case with Zeko because these guys have
DMARC.
played the language. They know the language. They know the league well. So that
Mm-hmm.
straight away they can come. That's one good thing, of signing players within the league.
Mm. Yeah, I agree, and I think you're right about Dumfries. Like he should be. While I want him to start badly because I'm a tad
Right.
bit excited, but then yeah. But I think he needs time. Like it's better to probably start Demarco and Darmian in that sense. One balanced for wing back and one attack-minded wing back. And yeah, I agree with you on that. And just moving on before I ask you your prediction, an interesting fact which I was reading on some Hellas Verona sources: 15,000 fans expected tomorrow. Good sign. I mean, I know it's going to put pressure on us. First away game with fans back, like of course it's going to be tough, but good to have fans back, and I think among those 15,000 fans are expected to be 1,000 traveling Inter fans. So good sign, good sign. I hope that of course the team will definitely get good backing from the Interisti, traveling Interisti. So let's hope for good things on that. And yeah, coming to the last thing to wrap up the show, Manish, what do you think is going to be the final score? Who do you think will score? Yeah, go ahead.
I think when Conte is first in here, when Conte was just the coach,
Mm,
I
mm,
think he started off the similar note with a 4-0 victory at San Siro.
mm,
Candreva
mm.
gave a long range shot.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it was very exciting to see that football. So right
Mm,
now, exactly
mm,
the same enthusiasm, the same excitement is
mm,
there with Simeone Inzaghi. The fans automatically
mm,
realized, Simeone Inzaghi is built for this team, and it's the right way
mm,
forward from Conti, the because he has taken exactly where
mm,
Conti left off. So it's good.
exactly.
So I'm expecting the same team. So it's going to be a victory for us, definitely. I'm expecting
Mm,
a 2-1 win or a 3-1 win for my side. That's my thing. And player to watch for me again is going to be Hakan Çalhanoğlu. For me, this guy is a breath of fresh air because we don't have this type of player.
mm,
From his
mm,
technique of passing and stuff. This guy,
mm,
it's really fun to watch him and
mm,
also to
mm.
rub salt in the Milan fans. I think every small goal or pass he does, I'm going to celebrate a lot, and I'm very happy to see Çalhanoğlu. So for me, he's going to be the player to watch, and it's going to be a win for us.
Mm,
What's your take?
mm. Yeah, I mean, banter aside, of course, yeah, I mean, see, Marc Antonio Bentegodi is a tough place to go to now that fans are finally back. Yeah, I mean, as I told you, Manish, that when I was delving into, Di Francesco and Juric, I said that the absence of Juric could make a difference while his tactics linger, and I think we will win this match, but I don't think it's going to be as easy. As you said, I think it's either a 2-1 or a 3-1. I feel that, Hellas Verona will give us a bit of nervy moments. They're not going to take it easy on us, and we will probably grow into the match. I'm not much for predictions, but, of course, now I've started doing more. So I feel we'll win 2-1, Manish, and just to casually pick goal scorers on both end, I think Zakani will continue his form for Hellas Verona. He'll score one, and I feel on our end, I think Dzeko will score, and I have a feeling Hakan maybe Hakan as well. So yeah, that's my take on it. And yeah, I mean, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, Manish, or we could wrap it up then?
I think pretty much wrap it up. Just to ask you one thing. If
Yeah.
the transfer market closes tomorrow, are you happy or you need one final signing? What's your take on that? Just finally.
Hmm. So yeah, of course we've wrapped up Korea. So besides that, I think I'm satisfied with the team, Manish. Like I really just to cap it off quickly. I really wanted Nahitan Nandes to come to Inter. You know, as Korea was pushing for the move, Nandes was as well. He really wanted to play for Inter, and it's sad how Cagliari have treated him. Very poorly. They made a promise to him and they didn't keep it, and it's sad to see what is happening with him. But unfortunately, we know he can play as a right wing back and as a midfielder, right, as a box to box. So, but we are too packed. Like, see, Dumfries
I
came
think
in.
we
I
have a
thought
lot
there
of
was
midfielders. Yes, at this point, we
exactly.
haven't
So I was, yeah,
able to
exactly.
start.
I was hoping there was some space for him in midfield, but we can't, right? And I
We
really
cannot.
feel
Yes.
bad for him. Maybe I really hope in the future if he doesn't sign for someone else, I really hope maybe next summer. If Vidal leaves or something, I really hope he comes. But that's my regret per se. I'm happy with the market. As I said before, that's just one regret that we can't have Hernandez. And just before I cap off money, just read some interesting piece of news. You may have read that the Premier League, all clubs were reluctant to let their players leave on international duty. If you read that, Serie A
Yeah.
has approved now that, so they've just announced that they are in support of clubs who will not permit their players to leave for international duty
Brilliant.
because of the quarantine period. So let's hope for the best now on that end. And Manish, sorry, you asked me the same question. Are you satisfied for the Mercato similarly before we close off? Or do
So
you
only
think is
thing
there?
I think one final deal was to get my idea is to get rid of Sanchez. In that
Yeah.
place, I got a very interesting idea. I think which we rumored also to get Insigne. So if we can give
Mm,
like maybe Vecino and 10 million and get Insigne, that would be a perfect attack. We have Zeko, we have Korea, we have Lautaro and Insigne. This four for me.
mm,
So pretty much that is like
mm,
obviously
mm.
not realistic thing, but why
Def-
not?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah. I
perfect
mean,
replacement for Sanchez, I think.
yeah, that would be interesting. So yeah, that's for this episode. People, of course, we have Hellas Verona coming up in 2 days' time on Friday, of course. do listen to our episode on or watch our episode on YouTube, and we are also available on multiple audio platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We'll be leaving the links in the description. Do check it out. If you can't watch us, do try to listen to what we have to say about all things Inter. And just one final reminder before we go: the Champions League draw is tomorrow. Stay tuned in. Let's hope for the best. I know we are in pot one. It's not going to be easy, but it's a big day. It's something we all Interistia are looking forward to. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us, and please leave a like and subscribe, and of course, more importantly, give your thoughts in the comments as to what you think about Inter's Mercato. Now that it's almost complete, we'll leave your predictions down in the comment section as to who do you think will win. Yeah, and thanks for tuning in. For sempre, Forza Inter.
Forza Inter, guys. Forza Inter.